Hey, check out VSiN Plus subs. They're free until a major sport returns. Sign up at vsin.com/subscribe. Betting analysis for every single sport and much, much more. You saw those flashing words in front of your face. Check it out, vsin.com/subscribe. Points Spread Weekly, out every single Wednesday. Yeah, look at those. Increase your betting IQ. Learn to bet like the pros. What else? Get expert betting strategies. What else? Betting analysis for every sport. I said that one already. vsin.com/subscribe. God, the production quality, it's just incredible. Can we just run that behind me like all the time? Subliminal messaging. Okay, so on the bump, I guess we're calling that this. American League East. So I'm really intrigued by, I'm intrigued by a lot of these divisions, right? And so when we talked about the American League West, for me, the value pick and the pick that I liked was the Anaheim Angels at 7-1. When we talked about the NL West, right? Tried to make the case for any of the teams sitting at about 10-1 with the Padres or the Diamondbacks, and there wasn't really a case to be made to me for Colorado or San Francisco, although over a small sample size, I don't know, maybe one of those teams gets insanely hot and somehow takes a division from the Dodgers. I don't think so. In this case, for this division, in a division that I think is obviously really hotly contested, especially with the two top teams, right? The New York Yankees and the Tampa Bay Rays, I'm really intrigued by a team like the Tampa Bay Rays. And so we can throw this up. Yankees odds on favorite minus 275. These are courtesy of the Westgate. Plus 275 coming back on the Tampa Bay Rays. Red Sox 16-1. Blue Jays 30-1. Orioles at 300-1. Personally, I'll scratch off the Blue Jays and the Orioles. I guess there's a case to be made for the Red Sox. We'll get into that if we have time. At 16-1. I'm not really sure. I don't love their pitching whatsoever. But regardless, let's take a look at the top two teams. First off, let's take a look at the Yankees. Because this is why I don't want to cross off is not the right term for the Yankees. This is why I would rather have a piece of the Rays than the Yankees. And just look at this, and we have talked about this for, I think, almost 3 years now with the New York Yankees. The unavailability of some players. Gary Sanchez, sideline, back injury. Is he going to be ready for opening day? We don't know. Aaron Judge, he's been out indefinitely with an injury that has been hampering him for a very long time. Almost to the point where it's become mysterious what's going on with Aaron Judge. Giancarlo Stanton, is he going to be back by the time they start up? More than likely. It seems like, at least. We know Luis Severino, with the elbow issue, won't be back until 2021. James Paxton, working his way back from injury as well. So we have a lot of these guys that are dealing with injuries. We've seen this already. We saw just over the weekend, Masahiro Tanaka took a 112-mile-an-hour fastball right off the bat, but boom, right in the dome. And now he's got a mild concussion, and he seems to be okay outside of that. But the injury issues for the New York Yankees have been immense. And then you look at some of the pitching, right? For example, the bullpen is rock solid, and they have a guy at the top, right, who they stole from the Houston Astros. I shouldn't say stole. They signed him in free agency in Garrett Cole. But Paxton has had his issues injuries-wise, and will he be available throughout an entire season? His numbers declined a little bit last year. Jay Happ was a nightmare last year, and maybe he can find a little bit more of the form that they had when he was first acquired by the New York Yankees. But there's some real question marks in this rotation as well for the Yankees, at least behind the top of their guy. So I look at this overall, and I'm thinking, okay, do I want to lay minus 275 with a team that has already been hampered by injuries that I think has some question marks at the back end of the rotation? I would say no. I don't want to lay 275. I'm not sure if the Yankees win this division a majority of the time over the Tampa Bay Rays, especially that clip at minus 275. This, to me, it's really a high price to pay considering where they're at this point right now, the New York Yankees. So that leaves you with the other option, which, by the way, if you're looking at minus 275, you're talking about implied probability of 73.3%. That, to me, is really high for the Yankees and where they're at injury-wise. So let's take a look at the Tampa Bay Rays. Sitting at plus 275, you can get 3-1. Totally down with this. Part of the reason why I like Tampa Bay so much, too, is just this pitching staff that they have overall is absolutely, possibly, one of the best, if not the best, in all of Major League Baseball at the top. Charlie Morton, of course, we know, has come around. He has been absolutely immense for this team. He has been rock solid. Just look at some of the numbers in 2019, the 3.05 ERA, a 3.28 xFIP. The strikeout numbers were immense. He kept the walks down. He kept the balls in the park. He was absolutely fantastic for him. We went over Blake Snell. as one of our buy low pitchers, considering that Blake Snell last year had some issues, right? The walks have been part of his career the entire time. The home runs were a little bit more of an issue last year. He was a little unlucky with the batting average on balls in play, about 343 for Blake Snell. But he showed all the signs of a guy who is going to start to regress back in a positive fashion. 429 on the ERA, 331 on the expected fielding independent, 1236 for the strikeouts every 9 innings. The hard hit rate was a little high, and of course the walks they need to work on, but at the same time, there are so many other things that Blake Snell shows that he is heading back in a positive direction. And then the acquisition of Ty Glasnow, who was absolutely tremendous for him last year. And it was a short sample size, only 60 2/3, but he pitched to a 178 ERA. He had a 294 expected fielding independent. There's a lot to like about the Tampa Bay Rays from a pitching standpoint. Does the offense need more pop? Absolutely. And that's probably going to be an issue for them once they get into the regular season is can their offense consistently, right, score enough runs to support this pitching staff, right? You can't continuously win some of these contests at low scoring rates the way the Rays would tend to do last year. But this team, I think overall, has a lot to like for the Tampa Bay Rays. And again, we talk about this multiple times. I brought this up a lot. And you always have to consider this with Major League Baseball this year. Over the small sample size, are you going to lay minus 275 with a team that has already had multiple injuries, who has question marks with the rotation? Or do I want to take essentially 3-1 with a team that is built around their pitching staff? And I believe that pitching staffs are going to have the advantage early on in the regular season. And I think the Tampa Bay Rays, if I'm looking at 3-1 for Tampa Bay, I really don't think that there's a question about if you're investing in futures, who do you want in this matchup? I think I'd rather take 3-1, 275 with the Tampa Bay Rays than lay that sort of a price with the New York Yankees, considering where they're at injuries-wise. Now, there's a whole other question to be made. We have talked about this on this show. And it's been one of the things, like, there's a lot of things I like from a future standpoint, right? I do like the Angels to win the AL West, right? But I don't know if Mike Trout's going to play. I do like the Tampa Bay Rays at plus 275, but I don't know who's going to contract COVID-19. And those are the things that, when we're talking about all these futures, to me, like when I'm up on here and we're talking about these sort of things, I always like to talk about them in the sense of what I'm going to actually bet, right? And it's tough to sit there and tell you, plus 275 is the way to go, when personally, I have a lot of trepidation betting a lot of these futures, considering what's going to happen in the world right now, because you don't know who's going to be in, who's going to be out, who's going to be testing positive. And if the response is, well, it's just like injuries, to me, it's a little different than the injuries, right? Because if Blake Snell tears a UCL in his elbow, then the two other pitchers behind him aren't then going to tear their UCLs because they catch it. And that's been the issue for me when I look at these futures. There's quite a lot that I like at Major League Baseball that are really intriguing that I've circled, but I'm not entirely sure that I am confident from where we're at with the coronavirus and where these guys are going to be at in terms of testing, that you'll have all these guys available. Talked about it with win totals. We've talked about it with futures in the NBA. Like, I'm stuck with the futures that I have, but I'm not sure if I want to invest any more in a lot of these things, considering where we're at and where some of these guys might be. Hell, we don't even know if Mike Trout's been kind of up and down. He's practicing, right? But there's also rumors that COVID is going around the Angels clubhouse, and that's why they shut down a couple of days ago. So regardless, I do like the Rays at plus 275. Maybe I'll come around confidence-wise with everything going on with the coronavirus, but the Rays, to me, if we're picking divisions, I'll take the Tampa Bay Rays to win the AL East. All right, UFC 251, when we return, Adam Hill is going to join us, get the lowdown on Masvidal, where he's at in his preparation, and there's also some interesting stuff with this time zone and Fight Island we'll talk about with Adam on the other side.